Welcome to the coldest moment in your relationship. It isn't the argument in the car, and it isn't the silence at the dinner table. It is the terrifying, jarring freeze that happens exactly 3 seconds after the most intimate act two humans can share. You know this moment. The room is still warm, the adrenaline is still pumping, and you are feeling vulnerable, open, and connected. You turn to look at them, expecting a smile, a cuddle, or a word of reassurance. Instead, you are met with a back turned against you. You see a physical recoil. Or worse, you look into their eyes and see a flash of pure, unadulterated disgust. It is as if the person who was just passionately pursuing you has suddenly realized they are in bed with a stranger, or an enemy. This is the post-supply crash. It is one of the most confusing and damaging experiences for a partner of a narcissist. You are left lying there, naked in every sense of the word, wondering what you did wrong. Did you say something? Did you look wrong? Was the performance not enough? The silence that follows is heavy and suffocating. It screams a message you cannot quite decipher but feel in your gut: you are no longer needed. In the span of minutes, you have gone from being the center of their universe to being a discarded wrapper on the floor. The shift is so violent it causes emotional whiplash. The haunting question that plagues you is, was it all a lie? How can someone shift from intense desire to cold indifference, or even hostility, in the blink of an eye? You start to internalize their reaction. You begin to believe that you are disgusting, that you are unworthy of aftercare, or that you are simply a vessel for their release. This is exactly what the narcissist wants you to feel, because if you are busy doubting your own worth, you won't notice that they are the ones spiraling into a pit of self-loathing. You are witnessing a physiological and psychological collapse that has nothing to do with you. We are going to expose the dark reality of what happens in the narcissist's brain immediately after sex. This is not about men being tired or women being distracted. This is a pathological phenomenon rooted in deep-seated shame. For a narcissist, intimacy is a transaction. It is a high-stakes game of extracting supply. But once the extraction is complete, the chemical high crashes, and they are left alone with the one thing they cannot stand: their true, empty selves. The act of sex strips away their God complex for a fleeting moment, leaving them feeling mortal, weak, and dirty. You need to understand that to a narcissist, sex is a drug. It is somatic supply. It validates their existence, proves their dominance, and silences their inner critic for a short time. But like any addict, the moment the high wears off, the withdrawal hits. And the withdrawal is brutal. They feel a sudden drop in dopamine that plunges them into a state of dysphoria. They look at you, the source of the drug, and they resent you. They resent you for seeing them lose control. They resent you for being the witness to their animalistic need. This video is going to walk you through the anatomy of this crash. We will dissect the shame-rage spiral that occurs in the silence of the bedroom. We will explain why they run to the bathroom, why they pick fights immediately after intimacy, or why they fall asleep instantly as a form of escape. You are not dealing with a lover who is tired, you are dealing with a predator who is ashamed of its own hunger. They are trying to scrub the feeling of vulnerability off their skin, and they are using your rejection as the soap. Why is this secret knowledge? Because the narcissist will never admit this. They will tell you that you are needy for wanting to cuddle. They will tell you that they are just stressed. They will gaslight you into believing that their coldness is normal. It is not normal. Healthy love includes the aftermath. Healthy love stays in the room. The narcissist leaves the room, emotionally or physically, because the reality of connection is too painful for them to bear. They can do the act, but they cannot do the connection. We are going to shine a light on the Madonna whore complex that often activates during this crash. In their mind, you shift from being a prized conquest to a dirty object simply because you participated in the act. They project their own feelings of dirtiness onto you. It is a defense mechanism. If you are the dirty one, then they can remain the superior, detached god. They devalue you to reinflate themselves. It is a sick, twisted mental gymnastics routine that leaves you bruised and confused. You have likely spent years trying to fix this moment. You tried new lingerie, you tried being more aggressive, you tried being more passive. You thought if you could just be perfect enough, they would stay present. But you cannot fix a biological and psychological short circuit. The crash is inevitable. It is written into the code of their disorder. They are doomed to seek satisfaction that they can never actually metabolize. They are buckets with holes in the bottom. Prepare yourself. We are going to step into the dark, cold energy of the narcissist's bedroom. We are going to strip away the romance and look at the pathology. By the end of this video, you will no longer take their coldness personally. You will see it for what it is, the pathetic recoil of a creature that hates itself for needing you. Let's expose the crash. To understand the crash, you must understand the dopamine shame cycle. Narcissists are dopamine addicts. The chase, the seduction, and the act itself flood their brain with neurotransmitters that make them feel powerful and alive. They feel like gods. But biology dictates that what goes up must come down. Immediately after release, dopamine levels plummet and prolactin levels rise. For a healthy person, this leads to a feeling of satisfaction and relaxation. For a narcissist, this leads to post-coital dysphoria. They fall from the mountaintop into a valley of gray emptiness. They feel tricked. The high didn't last, and now they are stuck in the mud of reality. We must discuss the loss of control. Narcissism is a defense mechanism built entirely around control. They must control their image, their emotions, and you. During orgasm, however, the human body takes over. They lose control. For a split second, they are not the master of the universe. They are a biological organism subject to reflexes. This momentary loss of control is humiliating to their subconscious. They feel weak. They feel human. And to a narcissist, being human is a defect. The shame you sense is their reaction to this momentary vulnerability. The objectification backfires. Throughout the act, they likely objectified you. They viewed you not as a person, but as a collection of parts designed for their pleasure. But once the act is over, the object becomes a person again. You start talking. You want connection. This intrudes on their fantasy. They are suddenly trapped in a bed with a human being who has needs. This reality check is jarring. They want to put the toy back in the box, but the toy is asking for a hug. This annoyance manifests as coldness. The shame transfer. A narcissist cannot sit with negative emotions. If they feel shame, which they do, intensely, after the crash, they must get it out of their body immediately. They treat shame like a hot coal. They have to throw it onto someone else before it burns them. You are the closest target. They look at you and project their own feelings of disgust onto your body. They might make a comment about your appearance, or criticize the way you breathe. They are literally vomiting their own self-hatred onto you to cleanse themselves. The dirty secret of their intimacy. Deep down, many narcissists view sex as something inherently dirty or degrading, usually due to early trauma or a warped worldview. While the drive is active, they suppress this view. But once the drive is sated, the judgment rushes back in. They feel sullied. By extension, they view you, the participant, as the agent of their corruption. They look at you with the eyes of a judge sentencing a criminal, even though they were the ones who initiated the crime. Intimacy anorexia sets in immediately. Real intimacy involves a merging of souls, a shared vulnerability. The narcissist is terrified of this. During sex, they can fake it or focus on the physical sensation. But the moments after sex require emotional presence. This is where they starve you. They withhold affection to re-establish the boundary. They need to prove to themselves that they are separate from you, that they do not need you. The coldness is a wall they build to protect their fragile ego from being engulfed by your love. The vampire's remorse. Imagine a vampire who feeds on blood but hates being a vampire. They hunt, they attack, they feed. But the moment the hunger is gone, they look at the victim with disdain. Why did you let me do that? They hate you for being the evidence of their addiction. They hate you for witnessing their gluttony. They aren't sorry for hurting you, they are sorry that they have to depend on you to survive. It is a resentment born of dependency. The comparison begins. In the post-crash clarity, the narcissist's mind often drifts to what else is out there. The current supply, you, has been consumed. The mystery is gone. The boredom sets in instantly. They start fantasizing about the next conquest, the next high. They look at you and see a used resource. This isn't because you are lacking, it's because their brain is chemically wired to crave novelty over depth. They are already mentally swiping left while lying next to you. Dissociation as an escape hatch. Often, the narcissist will simply check out. They might pick up their phone immediately. They might fall into a deep, coma-like sleep within seconds. This isn't relaxation, it is dissociation. They are fleeing the scene of the crime. They cannot handle the emotional gravity of the moment, so they eject. You are left alone in the bed, even though their body is still warm next to you. They have left the building. Ultimately, the crash is a narcissistic injury in itself. The realization that they are not self-sufficient, that they needed you to feel good, is an injury to their grandiosity. They hate the fact that you have the power to give them pleasure. It makes them feel subservient to your body. To regain the upper hand, they must devalue you immediately. By treating you like trash, they restore their own sense of superiority. I used her him, I didn't connect with her him. It is a desperate power grab. The dramatic turning point happens when you notice the switch. It is that precise moment when the light behind their eyes goes out. You might reach out to touch their arm, and they flinch. Don't touch me. I'm hot. The tone is sharp, almost violent. It cuts through the intimacy like a knife. This is the moment the mask falls completely. You are no longer looking at the lover, you are looking at the tormentor. The transition is so stark that it feels like a psychological plot twist in a horror movie. This is when the criticism begins. In the silence of the post-coital crash, they find a flaw. You were too loud. You took too long. Why do you always do that thing? They weaponize the vulnerability of the moment to strike deep. You are naked, physically and emotionally, making you the perfect target. They know that a blow delivered now will hurt 10 times more than a blow delivered at dinner. They are kicking you when your armor is off. You might see them run to the bathroom. This is a common ritual. They jump up immediately, rushing to the bathroom to wash. They scrub themselves obsessively. This is a somatic manifestation of their shame. They are trying to wash you off. They are trying to wash the vulnerability off. They come back into the room smelling of soap and detachment, looking at you like you are a stain on the sheets. The immediate discard simulation. For the next few hours or days, they might pull away completely. They go silent. They go to the other room to watch TV. They leave the house. This is a micro-discard. They are punishing you for the intimacy. They are training you to associate closeness with pain. They are conditioning you to fear sex, even as they demand it. It is a psychological torture technique designed to keep you walking on eggshells in the bedroom. They might engage in triangulation. Right after sex, they check their phone. You see them smiling at a text. Or they mention an ex, my ex used to love this song. They bring a third party into the sacred space. This is designed to remind you that you are replaceable. Even in the afterglow, you are competing. They want you to feel insecure so that you don't get comfortable. Comfort breeds entitlement, and they can't have you feeling entitled to their love. The sex as a weapon realization. You start to realize that the sex wasn't about love, it was about supply extraction. They looked at you with hunger, not affection. Once the hunger was sated, the interest evaporated. You feel used. This realization is the turning point for the victim. You stop seeing the coldness as a mistake and start seeing it as a feature of the relationship. The illusion of romance shatters. The narcissist feels engulfment anxiety. As you try to cuddle or talk, they feel suffocated. To a narcissist, closeness equals death. They feel like they are being swallowed whole by your needs. Their reaction is fight or flight. They fight by snapping at you, or they flee by physically leaving. They are fighting for their psychological survival against the threat of your love. The Madonna becomes the whore. If they viewed you as pure before, the act of sex debased you in their eyes. If they viewed you as a conquest, the victory is now stale. Either way, your value drops. They look at you with the post-supply stare, a flat, dead-eyed look that conveys absolute boredom. It is the look of a child who has broken a toy and is now looking for the next one. You attempt to reconnect, and it fails. You ask, "Is everything okay?" They sigh, rolling their eyes. "Why are you so insecure? God, you ruin everything." They gaslight you for noticing their coldness. They make you apologize for feeling rejected. This reversal is the final twist of the knife. You end up comforting them for their cruelty towards you. The turning point is the establishment of the cycle of shame. You learn that sex leads to rejection. You start to dread it. You start to dissociate during it, just to survive the inevitable crash. You become a participant in their pathology, trapped in a loop where the only way to connect is to be used, and the price of connection is abandonment. Over time, the post-supply crash destroys the victim's sexual self-esteem. You begin to view your own desire as a burden. You feel ugly, unwanted, and too much. You might develop sexual dysfunction, anxiety, or body dysmorphia. The narcissist's shame has successfully colonized your mind. You are carrying their baggage for them, staggering under the weight of a self-hatred that isn't yours. The narcissist's addiction escalates. Because normal sex leads to this crash, they seek higher highs to outrun the shame. They turn to porn addiction, fetishes, dangerous risks, or infidelity. They need more extreme dopamine hits to silence the inner void. The vanilla intimacy with you becomes unbearable to them because it requires too much humanity. They retreat into the shadows of their own perversions. The relationship becomes sexless or coercive. Either they stop touching you altogether, punishing you with deprivation, or they demand sex purely as a physical release without any emotional engagement, using you as a masturbatory aid. The middle ground, loving intimacy, vanishes. The bedroom becomes a battleground where power is traded and souls are crushed. The resentment solidifies. The narcissist resents you for witnessing their weakness. They begin to hate you. This isn't an exaggeration. They look at you with genuine malice. You are the reminder of their biological dependence. Every time they look at you, they are reminded that they are not gods. This resentment leaks out into other areas of the relationship. They pick fights about the dishes, about money, about nothing, all fueled by the shame of the bedroom. The discard is often planned in these moments. It is during the post-supply crash that the narcissist often decides to leave. In the clarity of their post-coital coldness, they decide you are not the one. They convince themselves that with someone else, someone new, someone perfect, they wouldn't feel this shame. They chase the phantom of a perfect partner who can override their pathology. Spoiler alert, that person does not exist. You experience trauma bonding. The intermittent reinforcement, the intense passion followed by the cold rejection, creates a biochemical addiction in your brain. You stay because you are chasing the high of the good moments, trying to avoid the low of the crash. You work harder and harder to please them, digging your own grave with every attempt to win them back. The narcissist becomes hypercritical. Because they feel dirty, they need you to be dirty. They start criticizing your body, your hygiene, your performance. They project their internal rot onto your external form. You've let yourself go. You're not exciting anymore. These insults are confessions. They are describing how they feel about themselves. The secret life grows. To avoid the shame of intimacy with a real person, they cultivate a secret life of digital supply. They spend hours in the bathroom with their phone. They get their supply from strangers who don't demand aftercare. This secret life creates a chasm between you. You are sleeping next to a ghost who is living a double life in the palm of their hand. The emotional divorce is finalized. You realize that you are alone in the bed. You stop reaching out. You stop asking for reassurance. You go cold too. This is gray rocking in the bedroom. The narcissist notices this withdrawal and might rage, accusing you of withholding, but the truth is you have simply died inside to survive. Ultimately, the consequence is the death of the spirit. The narcissist kills the erotic innocence in you. They turn a sacred act into a sordid transaction. The crash leaves wreckage that takes years to clear. You are left with the belief that love is pain, and that intimacy is a trap door that leads to a cold, dark basement. So, what is the final truth you must internalize to heal your body and soul? It is this: their shame had nothing to do with your worth. You were simply the mirror they looked into, and they hated the reflection. You could have been the most perfect, beautiful, skilled lover in the world, and they still would have crashed. Because you cannot fill a cup that has no bottom. You cannot love the shame out of a predator. You must reclaim your body. Your body is not a vending machine for their supply. It is a temple. It deserves to be held, cherished, and respected after the act just as much as during it. The coldness you felt was not a judgment on your desirability, it was a symptom of their disability. They are emotionally disabled, incapable of the sustained connection that defines human love. Understand that the post-supply crash is their prison, not yours. They are doomed to repeat this cycle forever. High, crash, shame, rage. High, crash, shame, rage. They are running on a hamster wheel of misery. You have the option to step off the wheel. You have the option to find a partner who doesn't recoil from connection. Stop trying to perform for them. No amount of gymnastics or lingerie will fix their dopamine receptors. You are fighting biology with psychology. It is a losing battle. The only way to win is to stop playing the game. Take your supply off the market. Close the shop. The disgust they showed you was a projection. Give it back to them. Visualize yourself handing that heavy, dark energy back into their hands. Say, "This belongs to you. I will not carry your shame anymore." Wash yourself clean of their projection. You are capable of real intimacy. The fact that you stayed, that you tried to connect, that you wanted the cuddle, that proves your humanity. It proves you are whole. Do not let their brokenness convince you that your wholeness is a flaw. Your need for connection is your superpower. Walk away from the cold bed. Leave them to freeze in their own winter. There are people in this world who radiate warmth. There are people who will look at you after intimacy with gratitude, not disdain. Go find the sun. Stand in the mirror today. Look at yourself. Not with their eyes, but with yours. See the beauty. See the resilience. See the person who deserves to be loved in the daylight, not just used in the dark. The next time you think of them, remember the crash. Remember the cold back. And realize that was the truest moment of the relationship. That was them showing you exactly who they are, empty, ashamed, and incapable of love. Believe them. You survived the crash. Now, walk away from the wreckage and never look back. You are free.